Folks, you see where I'm at, the backdrop, where the HBCU Combine had took place at South Alabama University, home of the Jaguars. I tell you, South Alabama, their facilities, their training center is fantastic, top of the notch, one of the best in the country. I swear to goodness that this school is on the rise. Program have not been around very long, but they had several players that came through to get through to the Senior Bowl and on to NFL success. So this school, definitely want to give a shout out to South Alabama University. Y'all got some great hosts, great facilities, top notch all the way. Now, as we know that we had the NFL had their first HBCU Combine, which had took place here at this very school, at this very site, at this training center for the Jaguars Training Center. Very fantastic, really good ground. Everything went very well as far as with the facility. Now, let's get to the nuts and bolts of what happened. HBCU players from around the country, 39 players did show up. Not everyone took part on all the drills, and some players had to get back from nursing from injuries and also preparing for their pro days, which is going to happen later on in the year, right before the NFL draft. But we're going to talk about some players that stood out, ones that made their situation a little better. And the best thing is when having these type of combines, these workouts, it really helped us to really judge and really put forth to see who are the players out of the crop of players coming from the HBCU level, knowing that it is a lower division of football compared to the major schools. So we want to make sure that we look through the lily of the valley to see which players had the potential to first be able to get in front of NFL scouts. We had a group of them here that proved worthy to be in front of NFL scouts, and some of them, very few, showed that they can get in front of scouts again to show their worth in hopes of being a part of the NFL family for the 2022 season. And here we go, we'll jump right into it. Now, right off the bat, I can honestly say that the defensive backs owned the day, especially on the defense side of the ball. The defensive backs came out to play. And we definitely want to talk about some as they dominated. Like Jawan Taylor from Alcorn State. He showed a lot of explosiveness, especially through his broad jump. Broke well onto the balls when it was time for the catch with the passing drills. He did really good. And then we had Evan Delilah Rosa from Fayetteville State. He had good feet, showed good speed, decent hands through his workout, really showed out and showcased and made his opportunities a little better. But I would have to go and say that the three defensive backs that really showed out is Zafar Kelly from South Carolina State. Really did a great job in putting his full effort in front of the scouts. Really showed out the class of the defensive backs. He was one of them. And then we're going to look at two other players. Will Adams from Virginia State and Joshua Flowers from Winston-Salem. Now, Adams was just smooth throughout his whole workout. I mean, he was very impressive. His broad jump just lit up the entire room. He showed a lot of explosiveness, showed a lot of the velocity in his runs, was very fluent in his hips. He did everything he was supposed to do, really showed a lot of burst, especially during his L drills. This young man really showed what he was able to do. Did not have not a lot of stuff coming into this workout, but he did himself a great service. I just think he just needed to keep his bags packed. He's going to have some invites to some programs from some teams that want to see him a little closer. He really did a great service for himself. Josh Flowers from Winston-Salem State. Listen, this young man is a pure baller. This guy was born to play football. He showed that in his workouts. I would say he showed out of the defensive backs probably the better of the hand. I would say that Adams was a little bit more explosive. But both of these players, Flowers really showed out, did everything. He came here and accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. Several teams had talked to him, and as well some other players, but several teams did talk to him. I think he really improved his stock going into the 2022 season. These young men definitely showed out. As the class of the HBCU Combine, the defensive backs really put in a lot of work in this workout. Now when we talk about the defensive line, good players showed up front. I like to call them the defensive fronts. But the ones that really stood out, one of the things was that Chris Myers from Norfolk State and Keyshawn James from Fayetteville State. I would say both of these players had to calm down. They was really excited, especially James. James was just laughing the whole time. But when these two players settled down, that's when they started to really get into their workout. That's when they started to rely on their abilities to really showcase and show forth. They both showed great balance, great speed, aggressiveness. They really started to turn everything up, especially towards the end of the workout, which really has showed off a whole lot. And then the one and only who showed out from beginning to the end was Jerry Garner from Mississippi Valley State. I mean, he took no prisoners. He just came out from the beginning to the end, just went off, did not stop. This young man, he really should lift his stock at this HBCU Combine. And definitely want to give a shout out to Chuck Smith, former defensive end for Atlanta Falcons. He was here working with the defensive front, really brought a lot of fire, a lot of passion to these workouts. These young men, I tell you, I have to give credit. The league did a great job in getting the best player, getting the best trainers to come out and work with these young men. These young men probably do not have an idea of the company that there was with them that was trying to get the best out of them. They had NFL legends like Hall of Famer Anita Williams. He was here providing insight. He had Dominic Rose-Camadi. He was here giving insight. Then you had Donald Driver. He was here, the legendary wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He was here giving insight, talking to the players. They was here pretty much from almost from the beginning to the end. There was always an NFL legend, whether if they all stayed or some went, but for the most part, NFL legends was here in support, especially those that came through the HBCU platform. Now, get right to it. Now, when we look at the